judged him by his relationship with his child, by how he regarded his mother, by all of these things that we choose to regard in the human family to make decisions about each other. The same things. I mean, these common things were still present.
So
there were many uncommon aspects to their society, to the negating of emotion and the negating of personal names out in society, but still being carried within families. There was a common theme to the human family which was still extant in his time, and I used that as part of my prudent discernment of him, or God, I hope it was, that he was a good human being.
So you assisted him in going through the Stargate.
I pushed the Segway type transport set on the stroller. They looked like bell jars almost, over the top of Segway type strollers, where you could, almost waist height, where the bar was, where you could push it in whatever direction, and it took very little effort to move it. And he asked me to go home.
So you pushed him, and
I did.
What happened to you when you pushed him?
I pushed forward, then the next feeling was a feeling of numbness. For a brief moment, I thought I really screwed up, maybe killed myself or whatever, because I literally felt numb everywhere. Then I remember a flash of gray, and then I was seated coughing on a block about 20, 30 meters away maybe. And I had people rushing up to me, still over dramatically, actually cocking an automatic firearm at me, screaming at me, and I was grabbed, picked up from the block, and taken over and said, you're under arrest. And I had committed a violation of the protocols, and I was being threatened with weapons to my head and things like that.
So how did
what did he say to you? And are you a spy? And they were just acting paranoid. No, I wasn't a spy. I just shoved him into the Stargate, and he went bye-bye. And that's essentially what happened.
How did Majestic react after that to you?
Very angry, including the people with whom I'm the closest, save the one present. Very angry toward me.
And how do they act? How does Majestic act when it's angry? I guess this gets back to, haven't you been tortured? Isn't this right? I
don't call it torture, aside from the fact that I've been falsely imprisoned. That's torture. I was, for a couple periods of time, put at S4 in level 3 and basically told that's where you are for now.
Level 3 meaning, was it a
S4.
cell?
No, it was one of the rooms, one of the small suites, if you will, which were originally put in. There's 12 of them in this trident. There's 3 groups of 4, and I was put in Bay Unit 1 over to the left, and it was essentially, it contained all the amenities. I could ask for food, got anything I wanted, except for I couldn't leave. There was no freedom. I consider that torture. The other items are acts of unkindness. And acts of unkindness from Majestic can range from everything from psychological unkindness, being rude to you, to being threatening, to being physically harmful. And I have been beaten, I have been slapped, I have been physically restrained, meaning handcuffed, and beaten and slapped. I have been put under lights. Well, hell, I had friends doing that to me. But I had, put under intense lights and while being handcuffed, as in interrogated. I have been told to shut my mouth to the point where 2 people grabbed me. One shoved me down onto the floor of a garage, and the other one stomped on and broke my hand.
So, and these were the members of Majestic that carried out these
yes.
attacks? In
Yes,
other words,
not
they
the,
didn't
not
hire
the J
someone?
numbers. Not the J numbers. These are operatives,
Operatives.
as in security personnel. Yeah.
I see. So not the 1 through 12, but
Oh no!
people that work for
None
them.
of them have laid an unkind hand on me ever. Great affection, if anything, out of them.
But they were under
Then again,
orders.
one can show great affection to a pet.
Okay, so you were viewed as a pet by some of them, but you were
No,
also
I'm not saying that. I'm
mistreated
saying
on
that-
their orders?
I'm not saying I was viewed as a pet. I'm saying I don't know what they're truly carrying in their hearts, in their minds. And so there exists a possibility that affection can be granted either honestly or disingenuously. It can be granted person to person on the same level, or as an act of condescending.
Well, let's back up a tiny bit.
Well,
Majestic.
yeah, she brought up the name Tenet. George Tenet. Oh, I better watch my mouth.
Mm-hmm. That's why I hit the
I
name.
just started talking here too much.
I know.
George Tenet was a former director of Central Intelligence for the United States of America. Now we're moving on.
Okay. But what you were saying about Majestic has got me interested.
Sorry.
That's okay. You're basically saying that Majestic is operating as
What a screw.
independent of the government. Is that correct? Or are they operating
Yes and
under
no.
the...
Yes and no. They were set independent of direct presidential authority as far back as the late 40s. However, there's more than one individual who has set as a member of the 12 who are intimately involved with the United States government to include its highest levels.
Okay, and so those people were actually...
Okay, it's time to put the tap dancing shoes on.
Okay, those people were actually ordering you to be, as a result, let's say, of this sort of overstepping the line, pushing J-Rod into the Stargate. They were ordering you to be sequestered, to be beaten or harmed in some way.
By the time that happened, all the beatings happened prior to that. By the time that happened, there was basically, they didn't know what to do with me. It took everybody so by surprise. Me too. What I did. They didn't know what to do. And so they really didn't. I mean, I got hauled around there at the site for a while, and I got hauled back here to the U.S., but I was basically, after that, just told to go home. They didn't know what to do.
So is this why you've been released from Majestic, is because of this incident?
No. It was coming near the end of my time, my usefulness, basically. Anyway, aside from being almost an elder statesman with them, because I'd been around for like 20 years. My physical condition has gotten worse. Well, not well, physically. So I would not be of any use inside of a laboratory.
Okay, but why is there... I understand that there's been some kind of adjournment.
There has been.
And now there's a new body, and it's not going to be comprised of the same people as the old body.
True.
So why? Why have they changed members? What's the motivation?
There's a switch over between